Our investments have already yielded results. We are on track to recuperate $25 billion from our efforts against tax avoidance and tax evasion. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. There are two certainties in life, and one of them the government doesn't want you cheating on. The depth of Canada's tax evasion and avoidance problem erupted in overwhelming detail last week with the release of a trove of documents about offshore accounts and trusts, dubbed the Paradise Papers, that delivered a broadside to the Prime Minister's oft-repeated mantra of creating a fairer tax system for the middle class and its hard-working aspirants. Trudeau responded with a haymaker of his own. The government had identified and was on track to collect $25 billion in unpaid taxes over the last 2 years. His intended message was clear: Canada won't turn a blind eye to those who cheat on or otherwise go to extreme lengths to avoid paying their taxes. But did the government cheat on its numbers? Spoiler alert, the Canadian press Baloney Meter is a dispassionate examination of political statements culminating in a ranking of accuracy on a scale of no baloney to full of baloney, complete methodology below. This one earns a rating of a lot of baloney. Hey race why? The facts: the Prime Minister made two statements on November 6, the first day that the fallout from the Paradise Papers hit the House of Commons. During question period, Trudeau first said the government had identified $25 billion in unreported income. A few minutes later, he said the government was on track to recuperate $25 billion from our efforts against tax avoidance and tax evasion. In the 2016-17 fiscal year, which ended March 31, the agency targeted $8 billion in foregone taxes from large businesses, including about $1.8 billion flagged as stemming from tax avoidance or evasion. There was also $2.6 billion identified as unpaid GST and HST, and a further $1.6 billion in possible unpaid taxes from small businesses. The combined value was $12.2 billion. The agency's annual report from the previous fiscal year noted virtually identical figures in each category, and a similar total, $12.2 billion, for a 2-year total of $24.4 billion, nearly all of the $25 billion cited by Trudeau. The figure represents the extra revenue the government should have collected, said Ted Gallivan, Assistant Commissioner of International, Large Businesses, and Criminal Investigations Branch. It usually crosses multiple tax years and can be calculated upon existing taxpayer balances, he said. For really high-value balances, the CRA may make accommodations to collect the balance over time so a business doesn't go bankrupt, meaning the debt lasts for a while, Gallivan added. The figures for the last 2 fiscal years are not out of line with the preceding 2-year period. Agency reports show auditors identified $20.5 billion in unreported tax between April 2013 and March 2015. In their 2016 budget, the Liberals gave the Canada Revenue Agency $444.4 million over 5 years to go after tax cheats, expecting it to result in the collection of $2.6 billion in previously unpaid taxes. This year's budget added $523.9 million over 5 years, aimed at recouping $2.5 billion in revenues.